Alright, hi Year 9. So welcome to the videos on how to make the nightlight project in Autodesk Inventor. Autodesk Inventor is an industry standard CAD package, so this is used by real engineers and designers all around the world. You guys will be learning how to use this throughout the course, and you'll eventually be using it completely independently to design things all on your own. So it's a very clever package. It can do lots and lots of different things. We're just going to do a few, I'm going to talk you through in this video how to set it up, how to view and manipulate your view, and we're going to make this top panel. So it'll be quite a long video, this one, but try and get through it. The second part and the other videos will be a bit shorter, alright? If you can get this done in one lesson, you're doing well. Okay, so this is what we're going to be building. You're all going to be making the same bottom part, so it'll be made up of 6 outside laser cut 4mm thick plywood panels. Inside you will be making I've just got rid of a door there, so there'll be an access panel which will be screwed on, and then there'll be these 2 panels here also made of wood, which will be like bits of wood for the screws to bite into. You can either run it on a 9-volt battery, which should fit in there nicely next to your circuit boards that you've made, or if you've brought in a USB cable from home or like an old phone charger, I've put holes in it. Sorry, I haven't quite lined that up yet, but that should line up in those holes, and you can run it off for mains power if you want, safe mains power. This little hole at the front will be for an LDR, light detector, to detect when it gets dark, because it's a night light. These holes here will be for LEDs, and the LEDs will shine upwards onto this, which is a piece of clear acrylic, and the idea is you guys are going to customize the piece of clear acrylic, so you'll do your own kind of outline shape, something interesting, and then you'll engrave lines on it that the lights from the LEDs will pick out. That's the idea anyway. So we're going for something like, you know, this kind of effect here, which I think looks pretty cool. Using just 2D acrylic, you can create a 3D effect. That's the plan. So that's what you're making. First things first then, how we set up Inventor. So let me just close down my model. Okay. Right, when you boot Inventor, you should be presented with this screen. If you're not, click the home picture up there, and it will bring it up. And the first thing you always do in Inventor is you create a project. A project is just a place where every single file you make for this model gets saved. It's important everything's in the same folder, otherwise Inventor basically loses track of where you've put stuff and your model won't load, particularly if you move from one computer to another. Okay, so go up to projects and click new, and it's a single user project, so click next, and you're going to call it Night Light Smart Product Design. Now I'm going to call mine 3 because I've already got 2 previous versions, alright, but save it, anything of a name similar to that, and do not mess around with the folder. If you get an error appears here and it says it can't save, come and get me, because that's a glitch with the school network. But normally you just give it a name, click next, click finish, click OK, and you'll see that will should create your project up here, Night Light Smart Product Design 3, and it should put a tick next to it. Okay, click done when you've done that. Right, I should have already taught you in lessons the difference between an assembly, a part, a feature, and a sketch. If I haven't done that, all of you stop and have a moan at me, and I'll do it now. But I'm assuming I've already taught you that. So every model has an assembly at some point where you're going to stick parts together. So we're going to start with an assembly. So click that. Yours will take longer to load than mine because the school computers are rubbish. And when it loads, the first thing I want you to do is click save. Okay, and call this whole Night Light assembly. Okay. Right, before you do anything else, I want you to set your screen up to look a bit more like mine. Yours will have a horrible blue background, like gradient background at the moment, which doesn't make things very clear or easy to present. So I would like you to go to File, Options down here, go to the one that says Colors, and you'll need to choose from here. Yours will be on gradient. I'd like you to choose one color, and then over here choose presentation, which will give you a white background. Click I'll just check that. Sorry, that's right. Click apply. Okay, and close. Right, the next thing I'd like you to do is under the View tab. You can't see anything yet, but under Visual Style, yours will be set to just shaded. Change it to shaded with edges. This will make your drawings look exactly like mine on the screen, which means they'll be a bit clearer. I don't know why Inventor sets it up the way it does for you by default, but it's a bit rubbish. So anyway, set that up. Don't mess with anything else, but you know I'm going to go back to Assemble, and we're going to click Create our first part. Now the first part we're making, as I may not have mentioned, is the top panel. Alright, I've got the dimensions for it here. We're going to follow this PowerPoint plan, and we're going to construct this rectangle with these little slots in it to stick the box together, and the slot here with the holes for the LEDs. Okay, so you click Create, give it a name, top panel is what I'm going to call it, click OK. You'll get the icon here, a little Lego brick type thing. Just click anywhere to start drawing. Now you'll see all the tools have changed. We are making our first part, and a part is made up of features, and as I've taught you already, features generally start with a sketch. So click Start 2D Sketch, and then these three places here are just places we can draw. Now before we go any further, I'm just going to show you how to manipulate your view around. Okay, don't click your left button if you can avoid it. So all of it's done with the middle mouse button and shift. So if we start just by gently clicking the middle mouse button, you'll see you can zoom in wherever the cursor's pointed. If I wanted to zoom in on the top corner, I move the mouse over the top corner and scroll. Alright, so I can zoom in on points of interest. If I click and hold the middle mouse button in, you'll see I can drag the picture around on the screen, so I can kind of pull it back to the middle and zoom in. So practice that. And then finally, if I hold shift on the keyboard, if you don't know what shift is, it's the arrow key above control on the left. Hold that down and click and hold the middle button. You'll see the cursor changes to this little orbit symbol, and we can now look around in 3D. I can sort of look at the front, I can look from above, I can look from the underside. Okay, so just practice doing that. Zooming in and out, moving your view left and right until you're comfortable with being able to look at any part of this cube. Okay, really important you can use this effectively, because otherwise all the bits I show you from now on, you won't be able to select the parts you need to. If you're really stuck, you've got the cube up here, so you can click, say, on back, and it will look at the back, or you can click, you know, spin it round. You can click like the corners and look at it in 3D. You can click at the top, you can spin your view sideways, whatever. Maybe just click top at some point when you finish messing, so we're looking at it top down. Anyway, we were starting a sketch, okay, and I want you to start your sketch on this horizontal plane here. Okay, now that should automatically put you up a sort of grid, and it will give you all the sketching tools here. Now there are other tools hidden away, look under here, and we'll get onto some of those later on, but for now we're just going to draw a rectangle, and we're going to draw a rectangle that is 100 by 65, so basically the size of this hole outside. Okay, just check my recording's still working. Sorry, good. So get the rectangle tool and just click. You know, you can start in the middle, you can start anywhere really, doesn't matter. I'm just going to click, and without clicking again, you'll see if I move my mouse, I get the sizes of my rectangle appear. Now it was 100 long by 65 tall. Now the box that's currently highlighted, without clicking anything, if I just type the number 65, that will update in a minute. If I press tab on the keyboard, tab is above caps lock if you don't know, it will jump to the other box. Now I've got to zoom out a little bit so you can see. There we go. Okay. See, if I press tab, it skips between the boxes. I'm going to type 100 in the other box and then hit enter. And what you should see is the dimensions have adjusted that rectangle to those sizes I typed in. Okay, when you're done, you just right click and select OK. You always do that when you're finished with a tool. Right click and OK. Right, you could have done it another way. So you could have just got the rectangle, drawn it without any dimensions, and then you could go and get the dimension tool over here and stick them on afterwards. So practice both. So I'm going to click on here, click again and type 100 for the horizontal, click on here, drag it out, click again and type 65. So I don't care how you do it, but make yourself a 100 by 65 rectangle. When you've done it, click Finish Sketch. Right, we've gone from sketch mode to part feature mode. Now these are all tools for making features. Now the most common one you'll use is Extrude. So pick Extrude. Now because it's detected a loop, what we call a profile in CAD, a continuous outline, it's already selected it and it's going, right, well how much do you want to extrude it by? Now just so you know, if your window looks like that and you can't see all the tools, just click that little down arrow, look, and they'll appear. Now we're making this out of 4mm plywood, so you're going to select in here, you're going to type 4. You don't have to put millimeters, it knows it's millimeters. Click OK. Right, practice zooming in and out and selecting your view and whatever, moving it left and right, holding down shift. You've now made your first 3D part. I know that seemed like it took a long time, but it's only because I had to show you the basics. Right, if by accident you're a mentalist and you zoom all the way in or all the way out and your object appears to disappear and you can't find it anymore because it's lost in the infinite void of space, over here you've got a tool called Zoom All. You click that, sometimes you have to click it, click off it and click on it again. Sorry, Zoom All, I had to click the arrow, select it, Zoom All, there you go. That will zoom in on what exists. Alright, so you can always find it again if you've lost it. Okay, I'll just show you that again. Zoom all the way out. You've got Zoom All. There you go. Brings it back into view. Alright, we're going to put in these tabs now. So we'll do the top and bottom tabs, which measure 50 wide. They're 4mm deep and they're 25 from the edge. The bottom is the same. It's a mirror image. So how long are we on the video? 11 minutes. Alright, I'm going to try and keep this under 20. Good. So back to Inventor. This little cutout is going to be a new feature. You should know a feature starts with a sketch. So get a sketch, draw a sketch on the top. So click on the top, and what we're going to do is get the rectangle tool again, and we're going to draw a 50 by 4 rectangle. So I'm just going to draw roughly near the top a rectangle, 4 for the vertical. Press tab and now choose 50. Okay. I'm going to also draw another rectangle roughly near the bottom. Okay, so it'll be 4, press tab, 50. Alright, again, if either of these were wrong, you could right click OK and then you could go on them and change them. Look, you can always override a dimension. So, by the way, to undo, if you didn't know, like any program, you can do Control Z, look, and it will go back a step, so that's quite useful. Okay, if you want to go forward, like undo and undo, you can do Control Y. Okay, so when you get used to these shortcuts, it makes your life easier. Right, anyway, we're now going to position these where they should go. So I know that this cutout should be right on that line there. Now you could just try and drag it manually, but you'll never get it perfect. Some people go, oh, I'll put a dimension between here and here of nothing. That's not the correct way of doing it. Basically, you've got these tools in this little area up here that are used for aligning things. Alright, they all do different things. This one would make 2 circles on top of each other. This one will make 2 lines go on top of each other. So if I select that and pick the top of this and that line there, you'll see they've jumped on top of each other. I'm going to do the same here. Click that and click that. Now we know we've got our cutout on the right place. The only thing we haven't done is make it exactly 25 from the edge. So the way you would do that is with a dimension. So dimensions can be used to move things for you as well. So click dimension. These are a bit harder to do. Maybe zoom in a bit so it's easier to select. I'd like you to click the side or the vertical side of the box you've made. Click again on the vertical side of the shape. So I'll just do that again. And then move upwards. Alright, and you'll see it's showing a dimension between here and here, which at the moment happens to be 25.14. We want it to be 25. So click to place it, type 25, and that'll override it. So I was actually pretty good with my guess. Now this one is obviously a lot further out, so I'll do that again. Dimension, click the vertical edge, click the edge on here, move your mouse down, click again, and type 25, and that shoved it 25 to the left. So those 2 holes are in exactly the right place, exactly on the line. So we're now going to click Finish Sketch, and you're going to click Extrude, Now this time it didn't automatically extrude it because it's got a conflict. It's like, well, hang on, which profile do you want? That's what this arrow means. Choose a profile. Well, I've got two of them. I've got that and that. Now you may have only wanted to do one of them. In this case we want to extrude both, so you select both profiles. Now we don't want to add any material on, we actually want to gouge this away. Most people's instinct here is to click this arrow, but that sometimes that does it right. What you should actually do is you should click this option that says cut and make sure that that arrow is pointing that way. Sometime you've got to be a bit careful here. If you've got cut selected and this arrow, it's going to attempt to cut into empty space, and trying to cut into empty space won't actually cut anything. Alright, so make sure you've got cut and the correct way. You can tell it's right because the material will disappear like you'd expect it to. Alright, 4mm is what you want. Click OK. So now we've got one part with two features over here on the left, and each feature is made from a sketch. Right? Hopefully that's making a bit more sense. Right, what you're going to do now, I'm not going to talk you through this bit. I now want you to make another sketch with a tab on the left and a tab on the right that are 25 wide by 4 thick and 20 from the edge. I'm just going to do it without talking, and I'm hoping you guys can do this on your own now that I've shown you it once. So here we go. Okay, now apologies for not talking through that, but you'll never learn this unless you give it a go yourself. So you should have ended up with this shape by now. Alright, if you got stuck in that second part, then I did show you all the steps in the video, I just didn't speak through it, so watch them closely, or if you're still really stuck, come and talk to me. Right, final bit we're going to do is we're going to make this little cutout here. We're 3 minutes to go, see if we can do it in 3 minutes. So it measures, it's a rectangle that's 60 by 3, because the acrylic is 3mm where the wood is 4, and then we've got 3 circles that are 5mm diameter, and they measure 10, 20 and 20 from each other, and this whole thing needs to be dead in the center. Okay, right, back to Inventor. New sketch on the top, because we're making a new feature. Draw your rectangle, and it was 3 tall by pressing tab, 60 wide. I want to put it dead in the middle. Now there's a clever way of doing that. Over here you've got the point tool. Point allows you to draw a point, but without clicking, if you just move your mouse on over here, you'll see when you get to the middle of a line, can you see it changes to a green blob? So like if I pick the middle of here, look, it goes green, or the middle of that line, it goes green. So this I know is the middle, and if I make a point on that green blob, I'll do the same along here, find the green blob, make a point. I can now use dimension to force this into the middle. Now the way I'd do it, I know that this is 3 thick, and halfway between that would be 1.5, because 1.5 is half of 3. So I'm just going to make a dimension between the top of that and the point, a bit like I did on the other one, and change it to 1.5. That has positioned it exactly halfway. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a dimension between there and this point, and set that one to half of 60, which is 30. Okay, there we go. Click finish. No, we're not quite done. What we need to do now is add the circles on, and they are 5 diameter, 10, 20, 20, spaced apart. So I'm going to just draw circle now. Now if you hover your mouse, can you see this little dotted line appears that lines up with that point? That's another reason for using points. I'm just going to draw a circle there, and I want it to be 5, so rather than clicking, I'm just going to type 5 and hit enter. A circle sort of roughly in the middle, click 5, and another circle sort of roughly over here, click 5. Again, I'll just undo that, make sure that, see that dotted line, look? You want it to be in the center, so use the dotted line to help you. Only click when the dotted line appears. There we go. So 5. Right, the next thing we want to do is we want that 110 from the edge. So dimension, click the dot, click the side, move up, and we're going to type 10. And now I'm going to dimension again, click the dot, click the other dot, so I'm saying how far between them. That should be 20, and I know that between here and here should also be 20. Okay, if you think about that, that makes sense. 10, 20, 20, that one must be 10 left over, because altogether 20 plus 20 plus 10 makes 50. Add another 10 just to prove it. There we go, would make the 60. Right, all we want to do now is we want to tidy this drawing up a bit. So we're going to use another favourite tool of mine called Trim. Trim will allow you to cut parts of lines where they intersect another. So I want you to trim, so that's the little scissors up there, trim these bits that aren't needed. What we're trying to do is make a continuous loop with no extra detail. Okay, I'm done with the trim tool, so right click OK, and we've made a continuous path there. Alright, once you've done that and it's dead in the middle and all the right sizes, click Finish Sketch, click Extrude. It's automatically selected it this time, but we know that we want to cut material. Check it's gone transparent. Yeah, all good. Click OK. Right, you have made the first part. Click Return when you've done that, and save your work. Okay. The next video might well show you to click Return again, because I actually recorded the first video twice because I screwed it up. So get yourself to that stage, save your work. Alright, well done if you managed to do that on your own. The key to learning this program is not to just sit there and expect someone to come over and tell you how to do it. You will never ever ever learn this program if you do that. You've got to watch the video, experiment, figure out why it went wrong, try it again over and over and over. Right? When you get good at it though, it's a really satisfying program, really amazing. Okay, so anyway, that was 22 minutes, not too bad. So if you finish this, move on to video number 2, where we'll be making the side panels.